Alright? So I'll repeat again. A prime number is a number that can only be divided by itself and 1 without remainder. And I give the example 2. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and that is an exact number. And 2 divided by 1 gives me 2, and that is an exact number. And there is no other number that I can divide 2 by that will not give me a remainder. All right? Let's look at a bigger number. Let's look at the number 71. 71, even though it's a big number, I can only divide 71 by 71. And that gives me 1. 71 divided by 71 gives me 1. I can divide 71 by 1. 71 divided by 1 is 71. There is no other number that I can take to divide 71 by. Alright? So, I want us to do the same thing in the chat. I want you guys to put an example of a prime number. It doesn't have to be a very big number. It could be small numbers. Alright? I gave you guys the example 2, and I gave you guys the example 71. So I want you guys to think of another prime number. We want to be very careful. You have to know your times table. So I am going to be looking at the chat, and I'm only going to be calling on the correct ones, right? So all the other numbers that I see in the chat are not going to be correct. So 11 is correct. 29 is correct. 5 is correct. 11 is correct. 7 is correct. 11 is correct. 31 is correct. 37 is correct. 11 is correct. All the other numbers are not prime numbers. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to look at the other numbers right now. Let's see. Where does it begin? Okay, the first number is 81. I can divide 81 by 81. I can divide it by 1, but I can also divide it by 9, because 9 times 9 gives me 81. So because I can divide 81 by another number, 81 is not a prime number. Let's look at the number 8. The number 8, I can divide 8 by 8. Yes. I can divide 8 by 1. Yes. And I can also divide 8 by 2. And I can also divide 8 by 4. So I can divide 8 by quite a lot of things. So that is not a prime number, because I can divide it by other numbers. The number 4, I can divide 4 by 4. I can divide 4 by 1. But I can also divide 4 by 2. Right? Let's see. Way at the bottom, I see 24. And the same thing, I can divide 24 by 24. I can divide it by 1. And I can also divide 24 by 4. I can divide it by 2. I can divide it by 8. I can divide it by 6. So I can divide 24 by a lot of things. So those numbers are not prime numbers. So let's look at the other type of number. The other type of number is a composite number. A composite number is a number which is not prime. A number that has a lot of factors, a lot of numbers that I can divide it by. So for example, 24 would be a composite number. 8 would be a composite number. 22 would be a composite number. 81 would be a composite number. 12, 50, 22, 4. All of you that put those answers in the chat, those are what we call composite numbers because I can divide that number by a lot of other numbers. Right? 15 is a composite number because I can divide it by 1. I can divide it by 3. I can divide it by 5. And I can divide it by 15. I can divide it by 4 numbers. That's why it is a composite number. Alright? Did everybody understand what I just explained?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Okay.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
So let's look at our table again. I don't want to highlight. Let me choose a lighter color. Okay. So now we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to look at these numbers. Now, let's look at -2. Is -2 a prime or a composite number? Or is it both? Or is it none of them?
Both.
None of them.
None of them?
Let's say think the both.
Both? Okay, let me go back.
Prime.
Let me go back.
Prime is
Let me go back. Let me go back.
Composite.
A number can never, and I say never, ever, ever be both prime and composite. It can only be one of them. Just like how a number cannot be both odd and even, it's either one of them. You are either an odd number or you are an even number. The same thing. You are either a prime number or you are a composite number. You can never be both of them. You can be prime, you can be composite, and you can be none of them. Those are the only 3 options that you have. All right? So, if I look at -2, okay, let's look at the number 2. Because a prime and a composite could be negative. It doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. We're only looking at the number. So look at 2. Is 2 prime or is it composite?
prime.
Composite.
Prime.
Let's look at number 2. By what numbers can I divide the number 2?
2 and 1.
1.
By 2 and by 1. I can only divide it by itself
Use
and
the
by
prime.
1. So what does that mean?
Prime number.
Prime.
It's a prime number. Very good. And because it is a prime number, that means it cannot be a composite number. All right? Let's look at half. Is half prime, composite, or none?
None.
None.
Very good. It's none of them. 100. Is 100 prime, composite, or none?
Composite.
Composite. Very good. Very good. You guys are understanding. Very good. And because it is a composite, it means that it cannot be a prime. All right? 53. Is it prime, composite, or none of them?
Prime.
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 It's prime? Okay. So it's a prime number. And then because it is prime, that means it is not a composite. 5.12.
No.
None.
It's none of them. Very good. None of them. Root 20, the square root of 20.
Prime.
What happened? You guys
None, miss.
froze? You don't know? Square root of 20 is none of them. The square root of 20 is none of them. 212. Prime or composite?
Composite.
Composite. Very good. Composite. 5/12.
None.
None.
None of them. Very good. None of them. 0.333, never ending recurring 3.
None.
None of them. Very
No.
good. None of them. The number 64.
Composite.
Composite.
Composite. Very good. And because it is composite, that means it cannot be prime. Okay. So there you have the table, and this is the table that I expect you guys to do in your assignment and send me a picture of this. All right, so this is one of your homeworks for this week. All right, so all you have to do, if you don't finish copying right now, it's in Google Classroom. You just have to go to the PowerPoint and then you can find it there. All right, but this is what I expect you guys to send me, something like this. All right, let's move on. Now, yesterday we had done one of the Venn diagrams, the one that talked about that had rational, irrational, integers, whole, natural, had those numbers, right? Now what we are doing today is that we're going to be doing the other Venn diagram. And what I want you guys to do in this case is you look at how they are grouped. It says odd and prime, and then composite and even. So this one is a little bit tricky because we have to put in those numbers that I have on the side in the Venn diagrams. All right? So we're going to look at the number 120 first. Who can tell me what kind of number is 120?
Even.
Even.
Even. Very good. Is 120 another kind of number as well?
Yes. Composite. Composite.
Okay, very good. So, if 120 is both composite and even, I'm going to put it right here. All right? Let's look at the number 50. What kind of number is the number 50?
Even.
The number 50 is even. Is it another kind of number as well?
No, miss. Oh, wait.
Composite.
Composite. So this is also composite and even. How about the number 42?
Even and composite.
Even. Even.
It's even. Is it something else as well?
Composite.
Composite.
Composite. Very
Composite.
good. So that is going to come right here too. How about 126?
A prime. No, a odd.
Even. Even and composite.
126 is an even number, but it's also a composite number. How about 248? It's a
Even.
composite number and
Even and composite.
even. Very good.
Even.
How about the number 20?
Even.
Even.
Even and composite.
Even and composite. Very good. How about 314?
Even and composite.
Even and composite. Very good. The number 12?
Even.
Even and what else?
Even. Composite.
Even and composite. The number 56?
Even and composite.
The number 667.
Only odd.
It's odd. Okay, what else?
And prime.
Only odd.
It's odd. Anything else?
Prime.
Prime.
Are you sure?
Only odd means.
Very good. It's only odd. So this is what your Venn diagram should look like. Alright? Now, I want to go back to the 667. Why is 667 not prime nor composite? Anybody? Or is it composite? Or is it prime?
Miss 667 the prime too.
Very good, Yuri. It's a prime number as well. So, 667 should be here. Alright? And this is how your final answer should look like. Any questions, guys?